Hi, good afternoon, Midland ISD. Welcome to Facebook Live. Sorry, we had a few technical difficulties earlier. So we're a little bit later than where we were earlier. So we apologize for that. And they are still continuing to persist with those technical difficulties, as we know that happens occasionally. So a couple things I want to go ahead and dive on into a couple of areas that we want to focus in on. We know that this spring semester has been one that has been out of the ordinary. It has not been in any way, shape, or form that we have ever expected. But I appreciate that everyone has embraced and stepped up to the challenge. Our parents, our students, our teachers, everyone. There's been a lot of information that's been coming out and things that we're wanting to share with you to keep you up to date. I apologize for my connection. It is still having some issues there, as you know. Okay. All right, so I think we're back into a different, trying to get the best signal possible. So I want to talk about a couple of things that we've had out of some of our conversations through the board meeting. We had a board meeting last night, and so we want to talk about a couple of things. So we currently have a school calendar that has been board approved back in February. Then that's something that has been posted. We knew though that the COVID-19 situation would be something that we would be active when we would return in the fall. So a couple of things that we know that the Texas Education Agency has shared with us is, and not with us, Midland ISD in particular, but schools across the state, districts across the state, they wanted us to consider, and we've also been considering as well, the fact that we might have some, we do have a loss of instructional time, face-to-face time. And so as we look towards the fall, we want to find some of the best opportunities that we can have for our students. So we're exploring multiple opportunities and models of how to work through a school calendar, continue with the same calendar that we have. Maybe we need to make some tweaks to the way the school day goes. What are our precautions? Do we need to consider some of the options that have been stood up there across the state that other campuses, other districts have been using successfully, and some have, and some choose to not. So we have a number of options and models that we're looking towards to find the best one. With that, talk a little bit about the option that was presented, or an opportunity that was presented in last night's meeting. It's called is called an intersessional calendar, and that was what was discussed at length during that time, an intersessional calendar. It doesn't mean that it's a year-long calendar. So students do get the summer. Teachers get the summer. That's still in place. But the ways in the meeting sessions go throughout the fall and throughout the spring, they're what they call intersessions. And so those are times where students can either accelerate their learning during that time, or that time can also be used to enhance and enrich. And so there are a number of opportunities that a calendar like that would present in the fall and also in the spring semesters. So a couple of things that we have, that's one of the things that we have in place. It does not change the number of days. It just portions them out a bit differently. And so with that, we are going to make sure that we're looking at some of the pros of that situation. And a couple of, and again, this is not something that we're saying that we're going to do, but this is something that we're saying we're looking towards. So some pros, so they can spread out school days so they reach further into the summer, minimizing summer slide. Students will still attend a school in the same number of days as our traditional calendar, so that would not change. The dedicated additional week during each intersession allows for some immediate remediation responsive to student needs, rather than conducting this an hour after school or waiting for summer school to start. So this accounts for that and can mitigate some of that. Teachers who provide the support would be compensated via stipend to meet the student need, because we understand that that would be different than some of those days that are there. If a school has to close, and this is where we're thinking about sometimes, and this is about micro closures. This is not ever something we've had to think about in the past, but as we look towards the situation with the COVID-19 situation, this is something that we want to think about. So if we were to have micro closures, those days would also be built in and we wouldn't have to make them up. And so that would help mitigate for that. So just to recap, during the board conversation, this was just brought forward to the board as information that has been shared with us, and in turn we wanted to share with the board. And we, of course, then everyone can view and see what that conversation looks like. And you're certainly welcome to go back and look further into what that conversation entailed. But no action was taken. And part of that conversation was, it's really important that we consider our community and understand where our community is what the needs are, and whether or not this would work. So what will happen is that we will not take any action towards this unless it is an area that we feel that our community has got some feedback in. And so we will be sending out family surveys, and we will take your feedback on this. We will share that with our board, and we will share that as decisions are being made across the board. We're not going to put up something that is not in the best interest of students, and that has student voice in it and parent voice. And so that's something that we do want to make sure everyone is rest assured we are getting that information. We're also going to be getting that information from our teachers, because they can also tell us how that works or doesn't work. And so there are many benefits to this. I know it's something that we've never really considered in the past, but it is something that we do feel we want to look into, especially since a number of districts have used it and they've used it successfully. Perhaps this is something we might want to look at, but it's something that we want to look at in an informed way, and in a way that also takes in consideration from our families and from our teachers. So that will be coming out, those surveys. I'm seeing a couple of things. So another area that we had some further conversation about was online learning. So when we think about next year, we want to consider, what role does online learning have in the classroom? Are there opportunities where we can support our students should they elect to be in a situation that's virtual? There are families and there are students who do benefit from that model. This is not to say that we will come out and everyone is going to go to virtual school. For some students that works, for some students that does not work. And so we want to see what sort of options and what sort of choices can we stand up and present to our community as we move forward. So again, I'm going to also reiterate the fact that we have a survey. It is coming out, and I'm seeing some of the questions coming through the chat that this survey will address. And we do want to take in consideration childcare situations. How does this impact your work? How does this interact? How does this support your student as we move forward? Which of the two calendars? And we will have one there was one that was shared during the board meeting as one that could be stood up next to the other, and you're welcome to look through and see that in our board agenda packet that's on the website, the side-by-sides. We'll also include those on our survey so you have them too, parents, when you're looking through there trying to make the most informed decision for your family and your feedback on that survey. So we appreciate the time that you'll be taking to fill those out and give us some really good, honest feedback as you look at the two side-by-side and make your recommendations as to which one would best suit the students. So this also brings me to summer learning. We are going to be providing opportunities for students, and I want to emphasize opportunities for them to engage in continued learning throughout the summer, and one of which is summer camps. Summer camps are going to be for students, all students who want to participate. They'll have to apply because space is limited, and those are going to be opportunities for students who are interested in a specific focus, specific topic of choice. Those camps will be grouped by age range and topic. It will be during the week of June 8th through 11th, 8:30 to approximately 10 o'clock each day. So it's not a full day of camp, and it's intended to be something that is new for us. It's completely free, just something that we want to share with you all that's coming up. We also have summer enrichment, and that will be an opportunity for all students to participate. That is going to be supported through the Texas Education Agency through high quality instructional materials that they'll be providing. That's something that they've stood up for all districts across the state to be able to engage in and participate in should they elect to. And that's just something that they can use as they see fit. And that'll be a resource, and that will also be available starting June the 8th. We also have then summer support. So for our students in grades 2 through 8 who did not meet mastery based upon the information from the fall semester and then what continued out throughout the spring in reading or math, those students would be eligible for further summer intensive support. Or if they're in grades 9 through 12 and they failed a course, specifically English 1, English 2, Biology, Algebra 1, or U.S. History, those students would be candidates for that summer support opportunity. All right, that will take place June 8th through the 25th. So a couple of opportunities with summer meals. Summer meals will continue throughout our summer. They won't be as widespread as they have been throughout the school year. So those will begin, summer meal service will begin May 26th, and it will be available until Tuesday, June 30th. And our locations, we've identified our locations, so I'm going to share that with you. It'll be at Yarborough Elementary, Santa Rita Elementary, Bonham, Bowie, De Zavala, Bunch, South, Burnett, Rusk, Fire Station number 4, which will be a mobile site, and Twin Oaks Mobile Home Park, which is a mobile site. So a couple of things about enrollment, registration and enrollment regarding Skyward. Please continue to check your student's grade and register for the next year. That's really important. We want to make sure that we have accurate counts of who's coming, and we know who those students are, how many of them are, how many per grade level. That really helps us with the planning for next year. So registration is certainly important, but please continue to check your students' grades in Skyward. Everyone, that's where we collect all that information. That's where you can see those progress monitoring codes. You can see all their information from the entire year really is collected right there. So please visit Skyward directly in midlandisd.net/enrollment for further instructions. If you need some support, there's also some phone numbers that are stood up there, and you certainly can reach out to us, and we'll be glad to help you and walk you through that. All right, I do apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, and we're going to go ahead and check through some of the chat that came through. Okay, so questions about working parents. Yes, that's something that we're going to take in consideration. We want to make sure that we're looking, and that's actually a question that we're going to be having on some of our surveys is, how does this impact you? How does this impact your daycare? How does this impact your daily life? And so that's something, I think that was in relation to the intersessional calendar. Absolutely, that's something to take into further consideration. Okay. And what I do want to clarify is we are not pushing an intersessional calendar. We are not telling you that that is what we must do. But what we are telling you is that this is something that has been shared And that's one thing that we wanted to share with our board. We did not want to have information that the commissioner has shared with the entire state of Texas and not be able to share that with our board as an option when there have been multiple districts across the state that have said, we've used this, we've seen benefits to this. How about looking at this and see if it fits your needs? That's where we are right there. We are right there. We are no further. We are right there. And so at this point in time, getting parent feedback now around that, now that you've heard what it is and what it is not, that's where we are right now, is getting your feedback. And we will be doing that in those surveys and taking that very seriously. Right. And absolutely right. I'm looking at some of the conversations. The intersessional calendar was actually presented as a COVID response from TEA. That's what preempted all of this conversation when we heard that there was, some considerations that we needed to be prepared for in the fall. An intersessional calendar for some may be optional. An option might be the best possible option. I don't know, but a number of districts have used it, and some have appreciated it, some have not, and some are in a decision situation, as are many districts across the state. So as far as what kind of interventions are being planned for special education students throughout the summer, we are going to, that's also with our summer learning, we'll be able to get into a little bit more depth right there. Because yes, there's definitely the needs for our special needs students in that community. Absolutely, our special ed students need to have that support as well. We've partnered with our special education department throughout this process to make sure that students who are in the summer learning, especially with that targeted support that they need in that third option, where they're really being able to have that support through special education as well, so that they can master those skills as well. So absolutely. Yes, right at school. We have been in conversations about right at school. That is something that we've been actually talking to them about their protocols in light of the COVID situation. They've been operating in a number of states very successfully through that, and we do want to stand that up as an option for our parents as well. Okay. All right, question is, do we have to do a virtual classroom? No, you don't have to do a virtual classroom. That's an option that we want to stand up for those who wish to participate in that way. We have to also understand that there will be situations where there may be students who are not, who have immune system weaknesses, where that might not be the best place for them in school. And so that might be an option that they choose. And we might also have situations where students have felt very successful in this environment, and we want to be able to deliver on that. With that, we realize that there are those who have not. So virtual school is not something that we are going to in a blanketed way, shape, or form at all. But virtual school is something that we do want to consider if those needs do arise and people are interested. Okay, question about 504 plans. Accommodations for us have been an issue. So moving into next year, I don't know if this is in relation to the summer or the next year. If it's in relation to the summer, absolutely, 504 plans are going to be implemented. Accommodations will be implemented, absolutely. If it's moving into next year, that's still in place as well. That is not something that is changing. 504 plans, accommodations, absolutely will be a situation. However, we can expect that our situation will be different than this year. Where we were in March, we closed without much notice, without much opportunity to prepare and things of that nature. What we're doing right now is we're planning and we're preparing so that whatever needs arise, whatever situation comes our way in the fall, that we are ready and we're prepared. Okay, yeah. I'm seeing, again, questions about parents who are working and things of that nature. Absolutely. Working parents, yeah, that's, we certainly want to make sure that we have those supports, whether it's right at school, whether it's any other sort of supports that we can provide. And that's something that will be coming through on the survey is, when, as you're working, what supports do you need? Would you need? Because we want to make sure that we're responsive to the needs of our community. So projected time for the survey that will be going out as soon as possible. We are in the middle of finalizing. We want to have a parent survey, and we want to have a teacher survey that's coming out. And so that will be coming out in the very, very near future, because we want to be moving forward on this, collecting this information, giving you enough time to respond, and then being able to act on it in enough time to make sure that we're standing up whatever model we need to move forward with in the fall in a very thoughtful and responsive way. Okay. All right, some of these are some of them are being answered right now. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm addressing what these are. Okay, again, links are coming through the chat on summer meal information. Okay, all right. So again, stay tuned for our further updates. We will be pushing out information through our website, through our social media sites, through phone calls, text, a number of ways. But do be looking for that survey within the next few days. We'll be getting those responses from you. We will be reviewing them, we will be sharing them, and then we will be moving forward according to what we collect there, and what the interest is, and what the feedback is. And we appreciate you moving forward in that manner. So with that, I think that covers the gist of what we needed to discuss today. I believe we will be back tomorrow, I think, with Spanish. So stay tuned. This information will be presented in Spanish as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all that you're doing to support your students during this time, and we hope you have a great rest of your week, the last week.